if you want to get rid of nitrogen and you're above 1 mole%, you can do it with an N flash drum, okay? So basically B0801. If your LNG quality was such that it was less than 1 mole%, sorry, above 1 but less than 2, you can do it this way, all right? So, like I said, your N flash drum is good up to 2%. Then if you're above 2%, which you are, of nitrogen, you need a stripper. In this case, you have C0801, okay? And that's what's removing the nitrogen. However, that gas is now rich in, the gas off the top of the funnel is now rich in nitrogen and helium. So helium is now a product that's worth quite a bit of money, so it's worthwhile to recover at the right amount. So here is a PFD with the design pressures, temperatures for the helium coal box. Okay, you have your heat in, goes through the brazed aluminum heat exchanger, it flashes. Okay, the liquid comes off, gives up some of its refrigeration. Okay, to be re-vaporized, so it's pre-cooling this feed, becomes gaseous, goes to your end flash. Okay, the gas from the top of the drum, that's now even richer in helium, goes through here, gives up some of its refrigeration as well, and goes off to your helium recovery unit heater, which we did not design, we do not know the specs of, and then to the rest of your helium recovery process, which we did not design and we do not know the specs of. So, just kind of going over those process streams, right? So gas from the flash drum, it's all vapor, it gets cooled, condensed, it's two-phase. The overhead of the flash drum is vapor, the bottom is two-phase, mostly liquid, and then the helium crude and the gas, the flash gas exchanger are obviously all vapor, okay? Okay, so the equipment design, we talked about this too, right? The design pressure is 10.4 bar, max cool down rate is 28 degrees C per hour, 17 degrees C initially, and the max defrost temperature is 65 degrees C, just like any other piece of aluminum equipment. And the good news is, right, you're pretty low pressure at this point on both sides. So here, your relief valve set points on the cold box jacket, pretty standard. Cold box is no different than the nitrogen cold box. We've talked about this too with the design of Mike. Okay, so about purging the cold box. Same thing as before. You start the purge into the cold box. You have a pressure control valve to let down the pressure from your utility nitrogen system. It goes into the cold box. It gets dispersed through these, basically they're like sprayer bars with screens on them to protect them from being plugged. The nitrogen migrates through the insulation and out the top. No different than the nitrogen cold box. Leave it on, never shut it off, unless you're going to be down for months. Always leave it on. An important thing too, right, before you start up a cold box, I don't know if we talked about this, the nitrogen purge should be on for days in advance. Because they'll put the perlite in, and that perlite is going to pick up moisture the whole time it's being put in. And then when it's sitting there, it's picking up moisture from the air. So before you turn it on and go cryogenic and all that insulation turns into a giant brick of ice, you put your nitrogen purge on for a couple days in advance, and you let that nitrogen dry out the perlite. All right, so we'll hop right in. Let's talk about warm defrost. So we're going to set up the process, okay? So you'll have to open up the shutdown valve for the helium recovery heat exchanger. The LNG flash gas fan valve will be open to allow defrost gas to be able to flow through that segment of pipe. Also, you will end up using that valve to assist in the cool down. Basically, my understanding is operationally, for you to get cold enough there, you need to open up that valve and pull some extra refrigeration in during the cool down. You may not start with it open, but you may need it as you get colder, okay? So we'll talk about that. We're gonna go to the flow diagram a little bit later. So, and you can open up the ESDs, serve as a vent, right? So we can open these up to serve as vents on the discharge side to help pull and purge and defrost. So in this case, right, we're doing a warm defrost, so we're not trying to cool down yet, we're just trying to dry out the equipment. Right, so we're going to inject defrost gas, normal flow path. So you can see, right, I'm highlighting once again multiple vent points, multiple defrost gas injection points. You can open up drains on the flash drum. You can open up drains throughout the process piping, okay? The nice part about Unit 10, it can be done separately. You don't have to actually mix it. So, any questions about a warm defrost? The same rules apply. We want to get to 55 degrees C, less than 10 ppm of moisture coming out. So, cold defrost, functionally no different in terms of setup. Okay? So we're gonna open the flash drum. The only difference is, because it's cold, we will need to drain the unit of all the liquids, and then we need to warm it up. Okay, so where are we going to get our cold gas from? In this case, you're going to use cold gas from the flash drum. Okay, normal flow direction. We're going to monitor the temperature at TI 1024, and then we're going to also monitor the temperature at 22 and 21. Those are out of the heat exchanger, okay? Because what do we want? We want everything, we want this temperature in to be within 28 degrees C of these temperatures out, okay? Because this is the delta T we're talking about. This pass in versus these two passes here. Should not be more than 28 degrees C different. Why does that matter? Well, we're going to start adding warm gas, blending it here, so that this gas will be slightly warmer and begin to warm up this equipment. Okay? Now you also need to start paying attention to these passes. The same thing. This needs to be within 28, 17 needs to be within 28, 23, within 28 of TI 28. Okay? So you want these to be balanced. So, for instance, if you see this one not warming up as fast, you may need to open the level valve on the helium recovery drum more. Or if it's warming too fast and you're pushing too much flow through it, and this one's not getting warm, you may need to close it back. There's only one control. The nice thing about the helium recovery system, there's one control valve. It's the level valve on the drum. It's the only thing you can do. You can either open it or close it. Pretty straightforward. Okay? So that's how you do a cold defrost. And then, of course, once you get up to ambient, you can isolate it and you're just going to use defrost gas. Okay?
But in case we are cold and we do not have the cold gas from 801, then how are we going to warm it up? Let's say we have LNG shutdown. And
how have you warmed up?
If the unit is cold and
Sure.
I have a shutdown on the LNG, so I don't have any gas in 801.
Okay.
So then how am I going to warm
Well,
it up?
I guess my question is, why did V0801 warm up and then you decided, why were you warming up V0801 and you were going to keep the helium recovery system cold?
I'm not warming up 801. We had a shutdown.
Okay.
Feed got cut.
Okay.
For some reason.
So the whole plant went down.
Whole plant went down.
Okay.
Okay. Now we have some job on this cold box. So I need to warm up the cold box, but I do not have any cold gas to blend. In that case, what will I do?
Well, we're going to talk about that. So, if you don't have any cold gas to blend, your blend gas stations should have the capacity for cooling down further than -35, so you can use that for cooling gas. Because you have high pressure feed gas, so you can step down across the valve.
or just very slowly I introduce the ball gas?
Only introduce defrost gas.
That's mean like that's your only thing you can do at that point.
Just I will maintain all the delta T below 28.
Yeah.
And I'll just very slowly introduce the ball gas.
Because what'll happen is if you introduce warm gas here, it'll cool through pick up the thermal mass from the heat exchanger, cool down and be cold, and then it will warm back up. But that will probably be your only solution. I'll have to look closer at the P&ID to see if you have any. But there's really no other places for cold. But to be fair, right, if you're shutting down, if you trip, and you need to do maintenance on this, and it's still cold, I'd be surprised. In a couple days, it warms up pretty
Yeah,
fast.
couple days, yeah, it will warm up, of course.
It'll warm up pretty fast in a couple days. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like if you lose the whole plant,
Next one.
it's gonna get warm
it's gonna get warm.
fairly quickly, particularly in this environment. But yeah, to answer your question, the only thing you can hope for is like because you have high pressure feed gas at some of your blend stations, you have high pressure feed gas that you step down across a JT valve, and that should be able to provide fairly cold defrost gas at your blend station.
Yeah, if really needed.
Which I don't know how cold that defrost gas can get when you step it down across
No,
the JT.
normally it remains, because it's coming from we take it from unit 4, right?
Yeah.
If,
It's compressor, huh?
Defrost gas.
Like how cold can you make your defrost gas when you step it down from 60 bar to 10?
if really needed in such case as you said, so your plant is shutting down, okay, you really need to warm it up. So if you are not going to start the train, fine, no problem. You have cold gas available, you can put into the unit, this ground, and you can utilize it. I mean, this is one of the option you can utilize it.
Cold gas from unit 4.
Correct. Unit 5, yes.
Not available.
Still you
I
can.
think one more line.
Where's the cold gas? What are you saying?
No,
Cold
with
gas?
See, we have blending station.
No,
Plant is shut
my
down.
case is plant is shut down. So you don't have anything on unit 4.
See, if you talk about this train is shut down, yes, but we have this.
Other train only.
Yeah, other train, this cold gas is available.
And how cold can you make that gas?
It's minus 35.
Same minus 35. You have available, I mean, from other train, we have
Yeah.
this interconnection as well. Let's say this train is down.
Yeah.
You really need it to warm it up. You have cold gas available. Then
Yeah, I mean,
you
they
can
get
bring
35%.
up to the unit 8.
Because
Put into the unit.
that's cold gas is coming from the pre-cooling.
Yeah.
Pre-cooled gas.
Yeah.
Still you can still.
Minus 35.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
the second option, really, just small put around this defrost gas and that is all.
Okay.
So now let's talk about cooling it down. So it's basically the same setup as defrost, opening vents, opening up valves to unisolate the equipment, opening up the drains on the flash drum, opening up the level valve. So just like any other cool down, we start with defrost gas flowing, just getting a positive flow moving through the system. And then we're gonna purge this HV line right here, which you will end up using later in the cool down more than likely to help get out of the way. But in the meantime, you want to just remember, if you're not going to use that you do want to flow gas through it to make sure that the line's been swept, okay? So, as before, right, if you're trying to cool down and you need operational, you're just going to use the gas from there, similar to a cold defrost, and you're going to be blending cold gas in with this defrost gas. Then as you get down, you can open this back up to begin feeding liquid from the flash drum to assist in the cool down. Because this needs to be negative 180 roughly. So you need to get quite cold. So you might need to assist with refrigeration with this hand valve 17.
You need it.
Yeah, that's what the other classes said. So, and then once you get within 28 degrees C of your flash gas, you can begin flowing flash gas to the shell of E0A03, blending it with rejection column. Okay? So the integrated, the prep is all the same. We're gonna sweep the line again. And now by integrated, this is basically just saying you start up and you want to cool everything down at once. So say you're trying to cool down unit 8. You can cool down unit 10 with unit 8. Personally, I think that's easier.
That is the best.
And it's also less risky.
Less
Because
risky.
now all of the equipment is getting cold
Cold.
together. So
Temperature.
the chance of delta T's being different is lower. So once again, right, we're saying you're starting up unit 8, you want to cool it down. Starting it warm. I would say, as you begin cooling this down, open up this to the helium recovery unit and begin that cool down. Now, you want to be careful that you don't start getting too cold in unit 10 because you're stepping it down in this flash room again and that will create some refrigeration. So you something to be aware of, right? You want to pay attention that unit 10 doesn't start to outpace unit 8. Okay?
So we just keep the pressure higher so that it won't.
Sure. Yeah. And then once again, so the nice thing is this: so you're cooling down unit 8. This is getting cold. So when you reblend this gas off the top of your column with the helium, once again, just pay attention, right? No more than 28 degrees C difference, and make sure that you're not gonna, make the E0, A03 too cold. But this is probably the easier way of doing it, in my opinion. And I'm sure those of you who,
Yeah.
even the old unit 10s is probably, I don't necessarily, but I would imagine it's easier to do the old unit 10s this way. And I think you have to, right? Because the brazed aluminum heat exchanger has a helium recovery pass for the flash gas
For
exchanger,
the
correct?
flash, yes.
So you have to, pretty much, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So, same idea then. It's just now the flows are slightly different paths, but,
Yeah.
okay.